السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear brothers and sisters, today I would like to share a reminder to myself first and foremost and to all of us about an important problem that exists in our communities, that exists especially in Western communities more than in others. And this is a problem, the problem of depression. The problem of depression. This issue was brought to the headlines this past week because a person who was very famous for making people laugh died by hanging himself with a belt. What is that? Robbie, I know his name. Robin Williams died by hanging himself. And the irony of this particular death is that this person was someone who used to make people laugh. People used to watch him and his movies when they were feeling down. And while he was making people laugh, he was crying from inside. And I'm not presenting Robin Williams as an example in any way. And in fact, I didn't want to say his name. But this is a problem that exists in all communities. And the father a community is from, a person is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more likely this problem is. The more likely this problem is. And today, I want to shed some light on it. And my goal is to reach somebody here who may be going through a problem similar to that, who may be feeling as if there's a hole inside that they cannot fulfill. And I would like to share with us basically the first problem, the first step to solving a problem is to recognize that there's a problem. And many people, they have problems like this, and we'll go through the causes of these things. And many people have gone through them, and as a result of what they have gone through and what they have seen and what they have felt, they're going through major problems inside their own selves. And because of the problems that are going on inside them, this internal warfare and internal battle that's going on, it reflects on the people around them. And these people, sometimes they behave extremely negatively. They are violent at times, aggressive at times towards others. And many times we simply say, you know what, this person has a problem, that he doesn't respect me or something like that. However, when we look at the case deep and in a deeper sense, it might be that he cannot control what's happening to him because of what's happening inside. And this is indeed a true problem. Depression, my brothers and sisters, is a prison. Depression is a prison of the mind, which is way worse than the prison of the body. Because if a person is incarcerated in a prison of the body, where they are, in a county jail or state prison or something like that, if a person is there, they can read books, they can have friends, they can talk to people. And they are able to relieve the stress that they are feeling as a result of being in this little space and not being allowed to go outside. However, if a person is going through depression, he is in the state of prison of his mind. There were a group of people, and they wanted, brothers, please turn off your cell phones. There were a group of people who wanted to show, and who wanted to show others and primarily show themselves a stupid point that they had come up with. They wanted to show that Ali ibn Abi Talib is not as smart as people think he is. He's not as intelligent as people think he is. These were, dumb people, because they got their answer a little while later. So they sat amongst themselves and they said, you know what, let's come up with a really, really tough question and come up with an answer for this question. And then we go and ask Ali ibn Abi Talib in front of everybody and prove to everybody that he wouldn't know the answer to this tough question. So they said, okay, so what's the question? Said, okay, what is the strongest thing that Allah created on earth? So they discussed themselves, and they came to the answer that the strongest thing that Allah created is mountains on earth. So they said, okay, alright, let's go and ask Ali radiallahu anhu. So they went to Ali radiallahu anhu and said, Ya Ali, tell us, what is the strongest thing Allah created if you know? Ali radiallahu anhu said, mountains. They said, oh man, he knows. He said, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created metal with which we make tools, and we are able to break mountains with those metallic tools. So metal is stronger than mountains. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created fire. And fire can melt metal. So fire is stronger than metal. And they're like, wow, he really is smart. But Ali radiallahu anhu is continuing. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created water. And water can extinguish fire. So water is stronger than the fire. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the clouds. And the clouds can pick up water and move it. And thus the clouds are stronger than the water. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created wind, which can push the clouds in any direction it wants. Thus the wind is stronger than the clouds. And they're like, man, we don't even imagine this. He says, but if the son of Adam puts his foot on his shawl, or like, his cloth, the wind cannot make it fly away. So the son of Adam is stronger. However, if the son of Adam drinks intoxicants, takes intoxicants, he loses his self, and thus the intoxicants are stronger than the son of Adam. However, if the son of Adam sleeps, he can get rid of the effects of intoxication, and thus sleep is stronger than intoxication. However, if the son of Adam has depression in his heart, he has huzn in his heart, he cannot sleep. And thus, the strongest thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created on earth is huzn. And He gave us a cure with it. He didn't add this, I'm adding this, that the strongest thing that Allah created, according to Ali radiallahu anhu, after all of these things, is this hole in the heart, this huzn, this depression, what we call. That if it's inside a person, he cannot sleep, he cannot eat, he cannot talk to his favorite person and enjoy that conversation. He cannot watch his favorite movie. He cannot go to his favorite place and enjoy that place because of what's inside that person. But the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that although huzn is something very strong, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us something stronger than that, which we will talk about towards the end. My dear brothers and sisters, the brother that is sitting right next to you right now may be going through this. This is an invisible disease. And it really is a disease that is hard to see, hard to detect, hard to measure. But it is there. And it kills. This disease is a fatal disease. And this, Robin Williams, is just another fatality of this disease. And there have been many others that have done it before. People who have power, people who have fame, people who have wealth, people who have influence. These people are so influential that if you take every single penny away from them, if you even take the clothes on their back away from them, tomorrow they will be millionaires again because of their name recognition. That's how powerful these people are. However, this teaches us a lesson. Those of us who are running after wealth, those of us who are going to do haram things in order to become wealthy, this is a lesson for us that you will never be satisfied with wealth. That is not the way to satisfy yourself. Thus, the Prophet ﷺ said that do not seek provision through disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not seek to become rich and wealthy through disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stay within halal. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the Holy Spirit, Ruh al-Qudus, has breathed into me that no soul shall die except that the provision that it was written for this person will reach it. So this is something for us to remember, that don't run after wealth. Don't run after haram things in order to become wealthy. Don't buy a house on a haram loan just because you want to have the satisfaction of having a house. Don't get into a riba loan in order to drive a new car. Don't, because the satisfaction that you're looking for will not come. Most people, when you ask them, why did you buy this house on interest when you know it's haram? They say, you know what, renting is too many problems. You know, sometimes there's this going on, sometimes there's that going on. We don't have control over this place and this problem and that problem. And at the end of the day, we don't even own anything that we paid for. So if we just get a mortgage, we are owning something one by one, little by little. And the idea is that this will be a long-term investment. Do you think a long-term investment is a good investment when it is taken on by waging war against Allah and His Messenger? Do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow you to have satisfaction and peace in your heart while you're waging war against Him? It's either that or the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah is incorrect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَذَرُوا مَا بَقِيَ مِنَ الرِّبَا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. O you who believe, leave off whatever riba you have to still collect, if you are believers. And if you don't do that, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, prepare for battle with Allah and His Messenger. One of the companions, radiallahu anhu, he said that on the day of judgment, the people who engage in riba will be given weapons and they will be told that prepare to fight against Allah and His Messenger. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this disease. What are the causes of depression, my brothers and sisters? Amongst the causes of depression is abuse. It could be past physical or sexual or emotional abuse. It can cause depression later on in life because a person has this thing that this thing happened to me and I can't talk to anybody. Because basically a person feels defeated that this person did what they did to me and I wasn't able to stop him. And now if I tell people what happened to me, they will make fun of me. They'll say, why didn't you slap the guy? It sounds easy to say now, but it's a very difficult situation in that time. And these things, it keeps bothering a person from inside. It keeps bothering a person from inside. It just breaks my chain of thought, not that it's a problem. Also, many people that take medications, he's not being punished, by the way. Okay? Many people, they take some medications, and sometimes the effects of these medications is that it causes people to have suicidal thoughts. So, if you're taking medication, be very careful about these things. Also, if a person has seen conflict, depression in someone who has biological, basically somebody who has seen a lot of conflict, soldiers when they come back from war, and they have seen such brutal images of blood and killing and murder and things like this. They were talking to one guy 1 second and the next second his head was blown out. And when they see this, it bothers them inside. It keeps coming at them. It keeps coming at them. And it becomes as if it's a dog barking in their face. There's a journalist. He did a report about people who have extreme depression, where it becomes basically schizophrenia, where they start hearing noises. They start hearing people talking to them, saying, like yelling at them and cursing at them and stuff. And what this person did is that he basically, the scientists, the doctors who deal with those type of patients, they recorded a whole lot of material like that, and they recorded that in an audio track. And then this person, they gave it to him, he put headphones in his ear. And then the project was to just live a regular day with these things in his ear, screaming at him like, what's wrong with you? You're ugly, you can't do anything, stuff like that. And they're coming for you. This is a very common thing. Somebody's chasing you, they're after you. And this person, he couldn't get through anything. He couldn't work. He said, okay, you know what, I'm going to go outside and take a walk. He couldn't go take a walk outside. He couldn't do anything. You can look it up, Anderson Cooper, his name is. So conflict is something which causes this when people watch this as well. And a big underlying cause is basically trauma, childhood trauma, or abuse or violence. Kids, when they see stuff like this, it's a big reason for why it becomes depression later on. And this is a note to parents. This is a note to parents that if you want to fight, and you can't avoid fighting, don't fight in front of your children. Do not fight in front of your children. Because the kids, when this happens, when they grow up, this plays like a video inside their head. And it's constantly telling them, bothering them, that this used to happen, this used to happen. And it's a serious problem that becomes later on. Also, a person who somebody near them, somebody that they love dies, and they don't know how to properly deal with that. They don't know how to properly comfort and console themselves. That also sometimes becomes a cause of depression. And sometimes, as you see that sometimes a husband and wife, they've been married for 35, 40, 50 years. And then one of them dies. And within days or weeks, the other one dies as well. It's just that the grief of this person that they love so much for so long, who was their partner, is gone, that the grief is so much that it just shuts their body down from inside. Also, major events, even happy events. For example, somebody starting a new job, and they're afraid that they might not be up to it. It might be too much for them. Also, graduating, college or high school, because we put so much expectations on our kids that, you know what, now you're becoming a man, now you have to take on responsibility and this and that. And sometimes we may do it in the wrong way, that it causes them to become depressed, that I'm not good enough for it. Also, getting married can lead to depression. Also, moving from one place to another place can lead to depression. Losing a job, or income, or getting divorced, or retiring. All of these things are causes that could cause people to become depressed. And if you see someone who's acting weird, think about, is there something like this that happened in his life recently that might be causing him to be negative in this way that he is? Also, other personal problems. For example, somebody who's cast out of his family. Somebody who's cast out of his family or social group can lead to this depression as well. Sometimes, for example, kids who are bullied because they're fat, for example, right? Other kids make fun of them all the time, and it causes to have this battle inside. Serious illnesses also can lead to depression, because a person may not know that how to deal with this. For example, actually, one of the things that saying about Robin Williams is that he had Parkinson's disease. And it's a very severe thing to deal with. And they're saying that his depression might be a result of this thing. He wasn't drinking, he wasn't doing drugs or anything. But this is such a big shock to a person that, you know what, I am who I am. I am Robin Williams. I'm so powerful, so influential, and I'm going to be in such a bad condition that I cannot even go outside of my house. It's a major shock, and it causes a person to start feeling extremely depressed. And also, obviously, substance abuse, drugs of whatever kind. When a person keeps doing them, they get a high off of it. And this high is so good, according to, when you feel it, obviously, it's so good that there's nothing else that could give you a high like that. So what do they need? Whenever they get off the drugs, their life sucks. Their life is like boring. So they say, you know what, let's go get that again. And they keep doing that again and again and again and again. And basically their life becomes two opposites. When they're on drugs, they are the happiest person. And when they're off drugs, they are the saddest person. And you can imagine that a normal human being cannot live in two extremes like this. And thus, it becomes depression. Also, some sins. There are some sins that a person may do Brothers, if you can please move up, there are people standing outside. Please come in. Please make space for them, they can come in. Just sit anywhere that you can, inshallah. When you stand for prayer, there will be enough space. Okay, brothers who are sitting by the door, you have to move as well. I'm not talking to just the rest of the people. There was one of my teachers, he mentioned in one of his lectures, he said a person came to him. He said, Sheikh, I committed a sin. I committed some sin. And he said that I think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is punishing me as a result of this sin that I did, that I cannot even enjoy the food that I love the most. It's the favorite food, I love to eat it. And it's in front of me, and I'm taking bites, and I can't taste it. I don't enjoy it at all, because of what's going on inside. So, some sins a punishment for this sin may be depression. And the cure for this, obviously, is to stop committing sins. Not just any sin, but all sins. Not just any sin. Basically, when you have a problem and you don't know what problem it is, you have to get rid of all the issues in order to make sure that you get rid of the problem that is causing. And subhanAllah, there might be people that think that they have made tawbah from a particular sin. They have stopped doing it. However, there are some sins that the tawbah of those sins, the repentance from those sins, is conditional upon that person moving away from that environment. And what I'm talking about is, a lot of people who are involved in street crime and gangs and drugs and stuff like this. As long as they continue to stay in that same area, even if they say, okay, you know what, I made tawbah, I'm not going to do it anymore, it is inevitable that they will fall back into it. They will fall back into it. And thus, the tawbah for this is for that person to move away from that area to an area where this stuff is not accessible easily. And what is the evidence for this? The evidence for this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he told us about a man who had killed 99 people. And this person went to one person and asked him, is there tawbah for me? He said, there's no tawbah for you. You're such an evil person. And he said, you know what? If there's no tawbah for me, then I might as well kill you as well. And he killed 100 people. And then he was still looking for tawbah. And he went to another person. And this person was a person of knowledge. And he said, is there tawbah for me? He said, yes, there is tawbah for you. But you have to leave this town. You have to leave this town. And subhanAllah, we have in our communities, brothers, and maybe even sisters, Allahu Alam, who may have done some very evil things in this community, in this area. Drugs and gangs and beatings and whatever, Allahu Alam. And for those people to really get out of this, in order to make sure that their tawbah is solidified, they cannot live in the same area and think that they can change their life. They have to leave. Just like this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, my dear brothers and sisters, haram income is also something which will cause depression. Because the body of the human being, it comes from earth. It comes from earth. And the nourishment that this body needs also comes from earth. The nourishment, the food that we eat, also comes from earth. We eat vegetables or meat. They both come from earth in one way or another. But the soul inside us, it doesn't come from earth. It comes from the heavens. When a child is 40 days old in the stomach of his mother, 120 days old, angels come down, and that's when they bring the soul into this child. Where do they bring the soul from? They bring it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus the nourishment that the soul needs also comes from the heavens, which is dhikrullah, which is Islam, which is Quran. When a person eats haram, there is a conflict inside that person's soul, his heart. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has programmed within us something called fitrah. Fitrah is our soul, our ruh, our nafs's innate ability to be able to tell right from wrong. And when we feed it haram, that little thing activates and tells us inside, what I'm doing is wrong. And what do? We turn the volume down. We know it's haram. We know that making money from interest or paying interest is haram. We know that selling drugs and drugs accessories is haram. We know that selling tobacco is haram. And once again, I want to repeat that selling tobacco is haram. Some people say, no, it's makruh. Well, how can you say that? I ask you this: do you want your son or your daughter to be smoking in front of you? Nobody would say yes. But how do you feel okay with selling it to other people? You're selling it to other kids. Do you think that there will be no effect on your own kids? This is just one social impact of smoking. But there is so much evidence to say that this is something harmful and it's haram to do. Credit card fraud is haram. Cheating and getting money on cards and stealing other people's cards and making files and stuff like this. This stuff is haram. You can be a millionaire like this, but you will never be satisfied. Your kids will never obey you. They will never respect you. As they are young, maybe 10, 11 years old, when they know nothing of this stuff, maybe yes. But can you imagine when your son comes to the masjid and he hears the imam saying that, you know what, selling this stuff is haram and my father is doing it. How do you think your son feels about it? If you can say, you know what, imam, please don't talk about it. We don't want our kids to know the haram that we are involved in. They will find out from elsewhere. And there will be that day when they will say, Dad, you are doing something haram. And when you tell them that, you know what, I fed you from this, I did all of these things, so why are you disobeying me? They'll say, you know what, why? Is that haram? So you're saying that I shouldn't do something which is haram, right? Is that what you're saying? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. My dear brothers and sisters, I don't have a lot of time left. However, I'm going to quickly go over some of the cures of depression. And inshallah, in the future, I will be doing more detailed khutbahs on the particulars of the cures of depression. Firstly, let's face it, there are some people who have serious clinical problems and they need clinical solutions to it. And that's why if there is somebody in your family, in your friends, your own self, if you keep thinking that you are the worst enemy of your own self because of the things that you do to yourself and the things that you say to yourself. You're fighting with everybody, you're never at peace, you're doing one thing one day, the next day you're doing something else. If this is what's happening to you, it doesn't hurt to get tested. It doesn't hurt to go to a doctor. There is a stigma attached to it. That you're diagnosed OCD or bipolar or something like this. But you know what? The people will say bad things about you no matter what. Whether you're doing something good or you're doing something bad. The people said bad things about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam while he was doing the best thing that they could be. And he was the best person that he was. So never make a decision based on what people think and what people will say. Take a decision on what you think is right. And if you think that you have a problem, go to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or whatever is relevant to your issue, and speak to them and get help. Get help. Also, the best cure is the cure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. Because in essence, depression, if it's not serious, if it's not like a biological problem, which some people may have, if it's not that, if it's caused by different things, the best cure of it is the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. Indeed, the remembrance of Allah is what satisfies the hearts. Now, what does the remembrance of Allah mean? Does that mean that we sit down in the masjid and keep saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah? That is one way of making dhikr. But a more comprehensive way of making dhikr is to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout your life. At all of these causes of depression, there are some Islamic guidelines that are there. For example, when someone dies that we love, Islam gave us a guideline that you are not allowed to mourn for them for more than 3 days. No matter who it is, except a woman who lost her husband. If it's your father, your friend, anybody that there is, you are not allowed to mourn for them for more than 3 days. After 3 days, you're supposed to come out and do something to let the people know that I'm not grieving anymore, because this is what the Prophet ﷺ told us to do. And that's why one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, Habiba radiallahu anha, when her father Abu Sufyan died, she mourned for 3 days. Meaning that, she was inside the house and she cried and whatever she did. After 3 days, she took a ghusl, she took a bath. And she put on perfume within the woman. And she came in front of them, basically letting them know that the Prophet ﷺ said that mourning is for 3 days and I'm done. So we have to follow, and this is a type of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a type of remembrance of Allah by following the guidelines He gave. Also, when it comes to major events, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives His guidelines. When it comes to abuse, what does Islam say if somebody is abusing you? There's a principle in Islam which is La darara wa la dirar. There's no harm that is done and there's no harm that is taken. There's no harm that is done and no harm that is taken, meaning that we don't do harm to anybody and no one else is allowed to do harm to us. And if someone is doing harm to us, then we are allowed to do what is necessary to stop that harm from happening. If it needs talking to somebody about it, then that's what it should be. If it needs calling the police about it, then that's what it should be. If it needs to even punch that person while he's coming at you, then that's what it needs to be. If that's the only way that you can protect yourself from somebody who's abusing you. But Islam teaches us that it is not the method of Islam that if someone is doing something wrong to you, you just let them do it. Forgiveness even is not correct at the time when the harm is still continuing. Somebody is slapping you and you say, I forgive you. He slaps you again, you say, I forgive you. He slaps you again, I forgive you. You are a fool for doing that. What Islam says is that after you stop them, you hold their hand if that stops them. If they still won't stop, you smack them in return and then they stop. And then you say, you know what? I forgive you for what you have done. Now the harm has stopped. Islam is not a religion which says, turn your other cheek if someone is doing it. This is not from Islam. So, number one, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also throughout our life, at every moment of the day, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we leave the house, the Prophet taught us what to say. When we enter the house, the Prophet taught us what to say. When we go to sleep, the Prophet taught us what to say. Every day, in the morning and in the evening, the Prophet ﷺ used to make these azkar. And subhanAllah, when you read the meanings of these azkar, they are beautiful. The Prophet ﷺ every day in the morning would basically ask refuge from Allah from all the major problems that could happen in the day. He would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka khayra hadha al-yawm wa fathahu wa nurahu wa barakatahu wa hudahu. He would say, oh Allah, I ask you for the good of this day. And the fathahu and the opening of this day. Wa nurahu and the light of this day. Wa barakatahu and the blessing of this day. Wa hudahu and the guidance of this day. At the beginning, at Fajr time, the Prophet ﷺ is setting a positive tone to his day. He would say every day in the morning and at Asr time in the evening, he would say, Allahumma afini fi badani. Allahumma afini fi sam'i. Allahumma afini fi basari. La ilaha illa ant. Oh Allah, I ask you for completion and purification and perfection in my body and in my hearing and in my sight. Every day 3 times. He would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Oh Allah, I ask you for knowledge which is beneficial. Wa rizqan tayyiba, and rizq, provision which is pure. Wa amalan mutaqabbala, and actions, deeds which are acceptable to you. Every day, I mean, subhanAllah, these, we had them before and somebody just walked out with them one day. And I just made some more copies again, that every day after Fajr and after Asr, we just give them out to people that they can read this and understand them with meaning. There's a beautiful book by the name of Fortress of the Muslim, which has all of these things with evidences and with meanings. There's a reason why the Prophet ﷺ would do this every single day. The Prophet ﷺ said that I sit with the people remembering Allah from the morning until sunrise is more beloved to me than freeing 4 slaves from Bani Ismail. Can you imagine that the Prophet ﷺ, he loves more, instead of freeing 4 people from slavery, it's more beloved to him to sit in the place of where he prayed Fajr and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by reciting these azkar until the sun rises. Why is he doing that? And then the Prophet ﷺ, every day he would ask Allah's refuge from these things. He would say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-huzni wal-hazn, wal-'adzi wal-kasl, wal-bukhli wal-jubn, wa dala'i ad-dayni wa ghalabat al-rijal. Right? Basically all the different problems that we face, depression and fear and anxiety and stinginess and being dominated by people and others, he would every day ask Allah's forgiveness and refuge from these things. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not protect us, no one will protect us. No one can protect us. So my dear brothers and sisters, remember that. Also, being attached to the masjid. When you feel down, come to the masjid. Whenever you feel down, you feel depressed, whether you are a brother or a sister, come and sit in the masjid. That doesn't mean that you can sleep in the masjid. Masjid closes after Isha. Okay? But come to the masjid when you feel down during the daytime. And that doesn't mean that you're not working and you're always sitting in the masjid as well. You know, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, he would come to the masjid in daytime and check if there's any young people sitting in the masjid. And he would kick them out. He would say, what are you doing in the masjid? Go out in the fields and find work. So, but if you feel down, come to the masjid for salah. Come sit down here. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to do anything. Just sit and ponder. This is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever, it's custom in good people that when you go to their house, they give you a nice gift. They give you a nice gift. If you go inside somebody's house and you are wet, what do they bring you? They bring you a towel to dry yourself. When you come in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your heart is aching from something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you something to cure that. And lastly, last but not the least, is to recite the Quran with meaning and with pondering over the meanings. What does this mean? Read 1 ayah only if you have to. Read only 1 ayah, but think about the meanings. The miracle of the Quran is that if you're going through a problem in life, whether it's depression because of a family situation, or because somebody died, or because you lost income, or something, whatever is happening to you, the miracle of the Quran is that you can take the Quran and open it from anywhere, randomly. Open it from anywhere, randomly, and read a few verses. And ponder over the meanings of what the verses are saying, and you will find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually addressing your individual situation. Allahu Akbar. This is a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can test it. And if you find it not to be true, I will give you your money back. Inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the disease of depression. And lastly, if there is nothing else that you can do, help is available at the masjid. If you can't find anybody to talk to, you can come and talk to me, inshallah. But if you're not going through depression, please don't come and tell me your personal stories for hours and hours, because I have other things to do. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Just some announcements. Inshallah, we'll have our weekly youth program tonight starting at 6:30 p.m. at the masjid, and it will end at 9:30 p.m., which is Salatul Isha. Also, at the community center, Fajr and Isha prayers are happening every day, and many people, they just don't know that these two prayers are happening over there. So if you live around the community center and you can get there, come for Fajr, come to Isha. This is a cure for depression as well. This is a cure for depression. Praying Salat in Jama'ah. Praying Salat in Jama'ah is one of the cures to depression. The prayer timings at the community center are the same times as the masjid. At the same times as the masjid, so you can look at the masjid schedule. Unless it says some other timings on the masjid schedule, you can be safe that whatever times are at the masjid, that's the same time at the community center, inshallah. Islamic Academy of South Jersey will be having its open houses. When you walk out, you will get a flyer that has a date. So anybody who is interested in enrolling their kids, if you have filled out registration forms, now you have to do the next step, which is that you have to